Well, hello there. You are listening to Nellyville, the podcast. And I'm Black. Hello, shalom. Welcome to Nellyville, the podcast, the place to be. This is season 9. We have made it to season 9, and you know what, guys? I know normally I've been dropping these on Tuesday with the last season, with an exception of maybe like a Wednesday here and there. But I think I'm officially going to change the day to Thursday, maybe even Friday. Let me know what you think. What works best for you? Did we like the Tuesdays? Are we, I figure, hey, let's switch it up. YouTube's still going to be Wednesday. Unless something strange happens, you're still going to get a YouTube every week. You're still going to get a TikTok here and there. But I think for the podcast, I think we're going to switch it up, But I'm excited to jump right back in. Last week was the season finale of season 8 with episode 10. And I was like, you know what? I'm in my groove. I'm feeling it. I'm in the moment. The things are happening. The girls have things to talk about. So why not just keep it going? So with all of that being said, let's jump right into hot topics. Anyways, shout out to Wendy Williams. I had my little coffee this morning. Can you tell? Anyway, so the first thing I want to get into, let's talk about Missy Elliott. More specifically, do y'all remember the little girl who used to do the music videos with Missy, Alyson Stoner? Okay, we might also remember this little girl from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Mike's Super Short Shows, Cheaper by the Dozen. She had a cute little career, this girl, Alyson Stoner, and she's out right now. She's obviously she's a grown woman now, and she's doing some things. Look her up, if you were a fan of her growing up or you remember the little girl. But anyways, I'm bringing her up because you know how I do. I find something and then I speak on it in the broader scheme of things. So Miss Alyson recently has she's been in the interviews. She's made some TikToks where she has kind of more or less said she's tired of people asking her about her days of being in the Missy Elliott videos. Okay, she's made some jokes about it. She's explicitly, expressed like, guys, I'm more than just the little white girl who danced in the Missy Elliott videos. Like, can we give it up? Like, me and Missy were not friends. I was a little girl. That was a grown woman. Of course, we didn't hang out. And look, while I understand, I could see how that could be annoying when you've had this full career. It's all these years later, and people are still asking you about that one specific moment in your life. I understand that. But, obviously, this is someone who's on the outside looking in. My thing is, look, as a celebrity, the longer you are in the limelight, the longer you are in this world, you have to know that if you get really famous off of one specific thing, the more people are going to ask you that. It's like, y'all get what I'm saying? It's not like it's the same person constantly asking you. If you are famous to millions and millions of people, then you are having the same experience, but to the people who are your fans, they are having an individual experience. And I guess as fans, we have to be more cognizant of, this person, this celebrity has probably been asked this question 1,000 times. Maybe can I think of something that's a little more original? But you know what? At the end of the day, as someone on the outside looking in, I say just be grateful. I don't like the coming off like, oh, I'm so annoyed people keep asking. That is the thing that puts you on the map, little girl. And while I see that it's annoying, don't get cute. Because the same people who go around saying, oh my gosh, I'm so sick and tired of people asking you that. Oh, well, fine. We will go on and ask somebody else some other things. Be careful what you wish for. Okay? Because you just might get it. And on another note, little girl, Love her so much. Love you, Alyson. So cute. Big fan. Big fan. You know, if you don't want people asking you about it, then stop bringing it up, because it's also coming off as you're trying to use your Missy Elliott clout to get clout for whatever it is that you're working on right now. Like, is it really that many people asking you that? Like, yeah, she still looks the same, but really, people who aren't around my age, how many people out in the world are really coming up to this woman and being like, hey, aren't you the Missy Elliott girl? Do you still talk to her? Can you get me in contact with me? Who's really actually doing that? And I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I'm just saying, for somebody who's so sick and tired of hearing about it and talking about it, you sure are doing a lot of talking about it. That's all I'm saying. It's just funny how people want to come out with projects and evolve and do new things, but yet, they claim they're so tired of being caught in the bubble, but yet they use the bubble to gain traction to their new thing. So it's like, baby, you can't have it both ways. But that's just my opinion. Who am I? I'm just a girl with a podcast. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, speaking of kids, okay, check this out. Did you guys hear about... First of all, let me just say, Alyson, love you so much, girl. It's no shade. It's no tea. It's no shade. It's no lemonade. I wish you well, little girl. Big fan. Like I said, big fan, big fan. Moving right along. Did y'all hear about the coffee shop that okay, so this mother, a grandmother, and the little girl, 6-year-old little girl, they go to this coffee shop, I think in like somewhere on the Jersey Shore or something like that, right? The mother is in line getting the coffee and the cookies or whatever. They hear a big giant bang. The little girl had accidentally pushed over this stone table, the 600-pound slab of granite table. Now, you're probably wondering, how in the world did a 6-year-old push over something so heavy? I don't know if the little girl was being extra or not. I don't know. But either way, that should have never been able to happen. And, it's on the coffee shop to make sure that you need to make sure that if you're going to have something that heavy anywhere, be it your seating, the art, the whatever, the infrastructure itself, you need to make sure that it is secure, that someone cannot accidentally have that happen. So whatever the case may be, the little girl knocked the table over. It breaks in, all up in pieces. Pieces go everywhere. No one got hurt. The little girl was okay. Obviously, the grandmother, the little girl, the mother, they were embarrassed. They were in shock. Everyone's looking. Everyone's staring. You have like 50 people staring, looking around like, what in the world are y'all doing? So anyways, so the mother says, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I'm willing to pay for it, blah, blah, blah. This is like almost a $2,000 table. It was like $1,700, right? Of course, right? Big slab of 600-pound granite, that scans, right? So the woman offers to pay for it. She gives the information and stuff, but the owner is like, we also need a picture of your license, and we need you to leave a credit card so that we can make sure that we get our money. Now, the mother gave, her phone number, her husband's phone number, an email address, and all this other stuff. But this turned into like a 20-minute back and forth. She's talking to, I guess, the manager or whoever on site. And then she's on the phone also with the store owner. And they supposedly, allegedly held this woman for like 20 minutes. And the woman's like, look, I want to tend to my daughter. She's really shooken up. We are so sorry, blah, blah, blah. Now, few things here. If this happens, of course, it's right for you to offer to pay for it. But also, this is why restaurants and establishments have insurance, so that when things like this happen, it doesn't necessarily fall on the patrons to have to pay for it. You should offer to pay for it, but this is why establishments have insurance, okay? Number 2, like I said, that should have been nailed down, bolted to the ground. That should not have been a wobbly situation. To me, whatever the 6-year-old was doing, that shouldn't be all that it takes for that to fall over like that. And they ought to be glad that no one got crushed, no one got seriously injured, because that could have shut down your whole business, okay? Number 3, as the mother, look, I'm going to give you my information, and I'm going to leave. You're not going to hold me up for 20 minutes. I mean, unless you're threatening to call the authorities on me, like it was an accident, I'm sorry. Like it was an accident, I'm sorry. You have my information, I'm leaving. Now, I guess, maybe I would have left my driver's license. I don't know that I would have left my credit card. In the moment, I don't know. But to me, it's like, if you said that you're going to pay for it, I don't know. I don't know how much money lying around these people have. But just pay for it and move on. And then if later you thought about, well, they should have insurance, I really shouldn't have had to pay for it, then you can deal with that later. But I'm not going to let somebody hold me on hostage on the phone for 20 minutes inside of a store. Like, what do you want me to do? It fell, I'm sorry. It's I don't know. It was just really jacked up. But what would you all do in that situation? Look, I don't know what the little girl was doing. People said that in other videos that other people posted when the coffee shop first opened, that those tables were wobbly. So I'm thinking maybe it didn't take much. But also, people, when you take your kids places, or when you take yourself places, just be very careful. Do not assume that all safety measures have been taken care of when you are in an establishment. Yes, you like to think that you are somewhere that, everything is bolted down. Nothing's going to follow me. My kid can't knock anything over. Don't always just be so sure. Okay? Really watch your kids. Make sure they're being still. They're sitting. I know kids can be unpredictable and stuff like that, but I mean, I understand as an owner being upset because, depending on how long you've been open and how specific that, table was made for your store, it may be really hard to replace. If it's not something that was made in bulk or that is still in production, you may be looking at having to redo your whole setup. You know what I mean? Because obviously you want everything to be cohesive and match. But if whoever you got that table from originally is no longer making that product, or you can't get it for what reason, then you're looking at having to redesign the whole layout and get new seating so that everything can match. I understand the frustration on both ends, but I don't know. I feel like the store owner, I feel like they were doing too much, but I also sensed a little bit of guilt on the mom's side, because if the little girl was just sitting there with the grandmother, like, it had to be a little bit of too much going on for that to fall over, even if it was wobbly. You know what I mean? I'm not blaming the little girl. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying I could see a world where the little girl was doing a lot and leaned on it and it fell. But this is why restaurants, make sure your stuff is nailed down. But anyways, I hope the little people got their stuff paid for. Also, look, stores, if stuff like that happens, businesses, just use your insurance. Don't be holding people hostage and stuff, because now you're looking at lawsuits and all that for pain and distress and all this. Anyways, the mother took the little girl to the emergency room because the little girl really wasn't saying nothing. The nurse just said that she's probably just in a state of shock. She was okay. Nobody was hurt. Just, embarrassed and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, that's that on that. But all that to say, babe, watch your kids. Anyways, so... Speaking of watching kids, check this out. So you had a mother who went out to the club. She went out clubbing. The next day, couldn't get up to take her 4 and 5-year-old to school. So what does she do? This mother orders an Uber to have the Uber drop the 4 and 5-year-old off at school. I kid you not. So the Uber driver pulls up. There's just these two little kids, and the Uber driver's like, "Somebody coming with y'all? Where's your mom? Where's your dad? Where is your adult? What is this? What is going on here?" And the little boy says, or one of the kids, whoever says, "Well, my mom went out last night. She can't take us to school." People. I understand that we still want to have fun as parents. I'm not a parent, but I get it. I understand that you still want to live your life and you still want to do these things. Doing the most to where you cannot get up and take care of your responsibilities to the point of you are letting a stranger pick up your children and drop them off at school. Also, don't kids need like a number or like a check-in or something like when you drop them off? I don't know if this is true for all schools. I know a lot of them, you gotta have like especially when picking up. Now, some schools also, when you drop them off, there is like, they either have some kind of a code that you gotta scan, or there's a sticker, there's a name, there's I don't know, maybe the mother gave that too, but I don't know. Y'all are doing way too much. I'm so sorry, but that is unacceptable. And I'm glad that it was at least an Uber driver who was an honest, decent Samaritan. And really, I would have canceled the ride. I would have walked the kids back to their mother and said, "Baby, this ain't right. I don't know what you're gonna do." But also, it's like, if the mother did that the first time, she probably would have did it again. And who knows what other Uber or Lyft would have showed up. So I don't know. I guess good on the Uber driver for going ahead and taking them to make sure they got there safely. But then the plot thickens. Okay, so they get to the school. The Uber driver takes the kids, gets to the school about 8:45 or something rather. The kids cannot be dropped off until 9:10. So the Uber driver has to wait there from like 8:40, 8:45 all the way to 9:10. So this Uber driver is not making money. This Uber driver has turned into a full-blown babysitter because somebody decided to go out clubbing to the point where they could not get. But my thing is, baby, if you got up and was cognizant enough to book the Uber, baby, I mean, unless you was just still told, but damn, like, you couldn't get in the Uber with the kids. I could see if maybe you weren't. Maybe you still a little tipsy. You couldn't drive. I'm not saying drink and drive. Buzz drinking, buzz driving is drunk driving, all that. But why couldn't you couldn't at least get in the Uber and ride with them and drop them off? You just sent them outside by themselves. And then the woman had to sit there and wait with your kids until they were allowed to enter the school at 9:10. Baby, what is really going on? And apparently, a lot of parents are doing this. Well, a lot of parents are ordering Ubers and they're riding with the kids, but they're getting Ubers and then they're having the Uber drivers sit in these pickup lines. And they're doing roundabout trips. So people are ordering Ubers, having the Uber driver wait in the carpool line to drop the kids off, and then they're taking the parent either back home or dropping them off at work or wherever their next destination is. And I don't know how logistically how that's going to work, because you only get paid so much per ride, and that is eating in a lot of their time to drop off kids from school and pick kids up from school. I guess a better solution, because, you got to get your kids to school and stuff, maybe have the Uber drivers drop you off close to the school and then walk your kids to the door. And then maybe you got to walk somewhere else and then order a different Uber, Lyft, or whatever ride share. Because you can't, you would just, to me, I think you're just going to have to order a different Uber, because you can't really, because if a lot of people are doing this, you can't have this Uber driver waiting across the street with their hazards on. I mean, if a bunch of people are doing this now it's a traffic nightmare. Now it's a safety issue. That's really not that practical. If you have no other choice but to use the Ubers to drop your kids off, you're just gonna have to get dropped off close to the school, walk them to the school, and then you're just gonna have to call another Uber. I mean, unless you just plan on tipping these people really well to sit there for that long, I don't really know. The logistics of getting kids to and from school is really jacked up. So, good luck out there to parents who are trying to do what they do with the car situation and getting your kids to and from school. I don't know. But to that mother who put their 4 and 5-year-old outside and ordered an Uber, baby, I pray for that family. Please pray for that family because, anyways, and good luck to the Uber and the Lyft drivers. Baby, more power to you. Y'all really out there doing the Lord's work. That's all I got to say. That is all I got to say. And speaking of rants, I like to jump ship here, but here's another rant. So we talked about the Uber driver and the stuff rants. I want to shift to the James Charles. Okay, shout out James Charles. Shout out Painted, which is his makeup brand. It's out there really doing well. Great products. Go ahead, James. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad it happened for you. But anyway, so James made a rant maybe about a month ago talking about, do y'all know have you ever noticed or paid attention to when you go inside of a store or maybe a sidewalk or something, there's like that, it's usually like painted yellow and then there's like a bumpy patch. Like, you know how you're coming out of the store and you're pushing your cart and then you roll over those bumps and it's like, or you're at a sidewalk and it's like this bumpy part or something. You probably never paid attention, or if you know what I'm talking about, you're probably like, why is this here? Well, and some of you may already know. So anyways, he made a rant of speaking about what is this for? It's so annoying. Like, when I drive over it or when I'm pushing my cart or blah, 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 your stuff rattles. It is pretty, rough sometimes, He's just making just a regular rant on TikTok. Well, come to find out, so the people educate him and tell him, well, James, this is for the vision impaired. This is what they use to know when the sidewalk is ending, when they are about to walk into the street. It is a vision impaired cue for people to know if they are about to walk into danger or if they are crossing the street. Okay? So, of course, people were really upset with him. People love to hate on James Charles. Now, I understand why people were upset, but here's the thing. It's not like he knew and then was saying, oh my gosh, blind people don't need this. He didn't know what it was. And if you don't know what something is and it's inconveniencing you, you're going to make a rant about it. People get on the internet all the time and rant about stuff. Okay? And then if somebody's like, oh, well, this is happening because of this, blah, blah, blah. Then it's like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. That I can cope with that a little better. I don't think that he deserved the amount of hate that he got. People were really, really upset. Like, because inherently, I don't think there's anything wrong with ranting. That's a big part of the internet. You get online and you complain about small grievances, big grievances, major inconveniences, small inconveniences. With the hopes of somebody will get in the comment section and explain why something is the way that it is. Now, if he continued to continue to complain about it after gathering all of the information, then that's a different story. But you can't expect someone to know everything all the time. Like, give people some grace. I mean, my Lord. Because really, honestly, before I looked into it and figured out what it was, because honestly, I didn't know. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I knew. I did not know that. I know the like when you're at a crosswalk and the little voice, you know, you hear the voice or the beeps or whatever to alert the visually impaired, you know, they can cross the street or whatever. I knew that, and I'm familiar with some other, you know, cues, but I didn't know what that was for. And I too get annoyed by the little like it is annoying. You know, it's no Sade. I don't have an issue with the visually impaired, but I can see why, you know, it's like, dang man, my grapes all popping out the bag and all that. Doesn't mean that I don't find it necessary. But you don't know what you don't know. And people are so quick to be like, I can't believe he said that. What are we talking about here? Okay? He didn't try to pass legislation to get it removed. He didn't say anything about people who can't see. It was just one of those things. And I'm just like, good Lord, people just really be out here hot and heavy and ready to cancel Mr. James Charles. And I'm not saying he's perfect, you know, but he's a grown man. He can defend himself. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just thinking, good gosh, people calm down. Relax. Just because you don't know everything, you know, doesn't mean people, you know, not everybody knows everything. And you know what else? I love when people act like they knew something. Please shut up. Please shut up. Everybody acting like they knew exactly what those little bumps and stuff were for. Shut up, because you didn't. You're a liar, and I don't want to hear it. People really be out here lying. And I think that's what else really got on my nerves. Is that people are acting like, God, James, how could you not know that? Please. That is not common knowledge. And I will not be told otherwise. I'm so sorry. Unless you have someone in your life or have had someone in your life who is visually impaired, why would you? I'm sorry, that's not common knowledge. It might be for someone, but I don't think that's universally known. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority on that. But anyways, speaking of people who get upset about the things that they don't know or think that they know it all and get upset when they're proven wrong, let's talk about some of these college professors. Okay, so we all know AI is a big thing, and this is nothing new that not just college students, but just all students who are of paper writing age. Okay, so this can even apply to elementary schools. Okay, we all know that since the internet really has been a thing, the education system, teachers, professors, the administration has done everything they can to make sure kids are not plagiarizing, that they are not using internet to completely create their work for them. Okay? And it is a very delicate balance. But now we have gotten to a point where if kids or students come off as too proficient in their work, they are automatically being accused of using AI, specifically ChatGPT or other resources like it. So you have this college student, and he says that the professor pulls up, you know, on the screen, an essay and says, "Whose paper is this?" And the student raises his hand and was like, "Oh, that's mine. That's my essay." And the teacher's like, "Are you sure?" And the student's like, "Yeah, that's mine." So the teacher says, "Well, I want to speak with you after class." So after class, you know, the student's sitting there all stressed out, obviously, you know, because what what is the problem here? You know, the professor asked the student, "Did you use ChatGPT for this?" And the guy was like, "No, I wrote this myself. This is my paper." The professor says, "Well, I know you used ChatGPT or some kind of AI because you used an M dash. And only ChatGPT uses that." And the student was like, "Well, I actually use M dashes quite frequently, and we can actually run my paper through a zero GPT, which is like an app. It's a how can I describe it? There is a way to run papers and essays to see if it was artificially written or if it was written by a human. Okay. So the student brings up the app and is like, here, you can run my paper through here and it's going to tell you this is 100% human. So sure enough, that's what happened. The engine or app or whatever they use popped up and said this was written by a human. This is nothing, and this is came from AI. And the professor was like, "Oh, you think I believe in that computer stuff? You're kicked out of my class and you're failing." Excuse me, what? So this professor, which I'm sure y'all know what an M dash is. It's just a dash. So, when it is a very basic grammatical thing. When you're writing a sentence and then you want to attach a separate thought to it, it's a dash. It's like it's like one of those long hyphens. Y'all know what an M dash is. If you don't, look it up, Google it. It's not outrageous. It is a very standard, expected writing technique for someone, especially who's on the college level. They teach you how to use M dashes probably by like 5th or 6th grade, if not earlier at this point. This is not, and it's not like old English. It's not something that, oh, well, people haven't used that since the 1950s. No, this is a very common, it's almost as common as using a period or a question mark, an exclamation point. Like what are we doing here? Has society and the written language expectations declined so much that when somebody uses an M dash, we assume that they could not have possibly used it? Like I'm baffled. So the student said that he was going to send an email to the dean or to the head of the department or something. And I'm like, baby, that's not enough, because send an email to have a paper trail. But the way I'm going to speak to someone in person immediately, because this is college. You're paying for this, whether it be out of pocket, scholarship, grant, loan, your parents. This is money. You're failing me, and you can't just accuse me. I'm going to talk to somebody. I don't even want to be in this person's class, because why would you, even if you come out on top in this situation, that teacher is going to have it out for you. So I will want to be excused from that class, and I want a different professor. Hopefully that professor is the only one teaching that class. I don't know, but y'all are going to have to figure something out. And if that's the only teacher that I want to take this, I want to be reimbursed for this class, because this is ridiculous. And, it's getting harder, because obviously you want kids to learn how to critically think, how to write, how to function without leaning on AI. Okay? And some schools have implemented measures to make sure. Some students have to type their papers in certain programs on the computer that will time how long you're actually writing. It will monitor your typing, what was changed, if anything was copy and pasted from an outside source. They're doing that. And then there's apps like the student used, the Zero GPT, to make sure nothing came from AI. There are ways to make sure students are actually doing the assignments themselves. But to just accuse someone, and I think the student got kicked out because I think it was an ego trip. I think that the professor thought that I think he just was really feeling his oats, thought that he caught someone. And it seemed like it was just he had a chip on his shoulder about something else, and he took it out on this student. And then when the student proved him wrong, he just couldn't take it. His ego was bruised. So now what do you do? Now I gotta kick this kid out. And I'm sorry. If you all aren't going to, and when I say you all, I mean teachers, administrations, deans, heads of departments, principals, whatever. If you all are not going to embrace technology, you are going to have a long, hard road ahead of you. That does not work. It makes everyone's life miserable, okay? This started when I was in middle school. When Google came out, oh my gosh, the way they tried to fight tooth and nail to make us not use Google, not use if you're going to use the internet, you had to write down it was teaching us how to use MLA and MLA format, and what's the hold on, let me look it up. I've been out of school too long. Hold on 1 second. MLA formatting. Hold on, y'all. It's been a while. Versus, Chicago, APA. Look, anyways, we had to learn all of these different ways to create citations and all of these things to cite our sources. That's fine. I'm not complaining about knowing how to find the proper sources and being able to cite them properly. That's good. You should research and cite your sources and know how to do that. That is good. But when people were using Google and just citing Google, you can't do that. And for every internet source you use, you gotta find 3 book sources. I'm like, why the hell? Like, look, books are important. They are important. I'm not saying books, literal physical copies of books are good. But if the point of school at the end of the day is to teach a child how to get from A to B the most efficient way possible, why are we fighting so hard against our biggest resource? Sure, there is nothing like going to the actual library and getting a physical book, pulling out an encyclopedia, pulling out an actual, black and white printed resource. There's nothing like it going through old newspaper clippings and blah, blah, blah. Nothing like it. And I do think that is a practice that they should still teach in schools. But if I can go to a website and find the exact source in that same book, why are we fighting against that? And obviously they have evolved. I've seen a world of evolution between 5th and 6th grade by the time I was in 12th grade. The tune completely changed with all of that. And this was years ago. I can imagine what these kids are going through now, trying to balance what's research, what's just, do y'all see what I'm saying? I can still get the resources, the information from the book, but if I can go to Google, if I go to ChatGPT and say, hey, what chapters do I need to read? Give me 5 books that I can read for my research topic, and what specific chapters do I need to reference? Instead of wasting hours and hours and hours reading a bunch of books that maybe may not give me anything. Yes, reading is fundamental. It is important. It is the journey. But fighting against technology, it makes your job so much harder. It makes the kids miserable. Everyone's on pins and needles. I feel like embrace it. How about this? Now, the programs that actually track children's writing and stuff like that, that's good. But make sure that is accurate, because technology fails us, okay? In the sense of teachers used to run our papers through, these websites and these things to make sure it was all our work. Plagiarism was, they had measures to make sure no one was cheating or copying or copying and pasting, right? But how about let's meet in the middle? If the world is going towards this thing, maybe as a class, construct a paper together using the internet, and then have the students in groups or as a class go over the AI generated paper and point out what AI got wrong, because sometimes AI gets it wrong. You could you could you could generate, as a teacher, you could generate 26 papers, give it to your students as an assignment, and say, okay, here's this paper. I want you to rewrite this in your own words, or I want you to find 5 sources that AI must have gathered this from. I want you to find the 6 errors that are wrong and then cite your. You know what I mean? Turn it into a research assignment instead of fighting against it. You as a class, generate the papers, throw in some grammatical errors, and then have them say, okay, there's 10 grammatical errors in this paper. Find them. You have until Friday to do it. There are ways to still teach kids the fundamentals while also not trying so hard to fight against technology. It's not worth it. And at the end of the day, it always changes. But the stress of being a student and all the extra hoops and whistles that you have to go through to prove that you're not cheating, I don't know, man. I think I would have to quit. I don't know that I would have made it, because I mean, this is memory unlocked. I have, I have, memories of, like, I would write really, really great papers. And I remember getting marks taken off because maybe I miss a resource. Maybe I forgot to write a resource down. Maybe I forgot to cite it. Or maybe I read something, but I didn't remember where I read it from. I just knew the information. I just knew. I just know because I heard it. I know because I read it, but I forgot to write that specific article down. I remember having full letter grades taken off of my work because I didn't do the formatting correctly. And now kids are being kicked out of class because they're writing too well. Oh, baby. No, see, we're going to have to figure something else out because, baby, no, that's not going to work for me. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. That's not going to work for me. I don't know. Look, good luck to teachers. Good luck to students. We got to figure out a way to meet in the middle, because you can't be kicking people out of class because they're using M dashes. That's crazy. But anyways, it's always something in it. It is always something. But anyways, the last and final thing, I know I'm sat up here running. The last and final thing I want to leave y'all with: how do we feel about the Gracie Abrams? If you don't know who she is, adorable little artist, okay? I think I might have slept on her for a little while. I love a pop girly. I will say her song's a little slow. They're a little, a little emotional, a little emo. But she has a beautiful voice. She is a great, great songwriter. And she has a song out right now called So True. I think what's the name of the song? Gracie Abrams. What's the little song called, y'all? Oh, I love it. Where is it? Oh no, where'd it go? But anyway, she has this song out, and I really think, yeah, it's called That's So True. I really like this song, and I like her other songs too, but I don't know. To me, I was like, oh, she's just gonna come and go. But you know what? I think she might be around a little bit, so keep an eye out for the little Miss Gracie Abrams. But man, oh, I love that little song. It is so cute. I love it. She's cute as a button. I think she's like 25. She's from LA. The little girls. Anyways, normally, baby, I can't be bothered. You gotta do a lot to catch my attention. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, as a pop girly at heart, I love when one comes along and really, gets me excited again. And the little Gracie Abrams, gosh, I hope, I haven't really done all my research on the little girl. I hope that she is someone that, don't disappoint me. Please don't be racist. Please don't be problematic, little girl, because I done sat up here and talked about you and gave you praises. Please don't make me make another episode redacting my statement. I just, you gotta be careful who you're fans of these days. Anyways, I just wanted to give a little shout out to the little Gracie Abrams. Shout out, girl. But yeah, that little song, I really love it. That's so true. Oh, such a good song. Anyways, they play it out on the radio. You probably heard it. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, I think that's it, y'all. Look. At the end of the day, watch your kids, teachers, students, parents. Let's all get on the same page here. Let's all embrace technology. Don't let it consume you, but don't try to run from it. You will get left behind. You're only going to make your life harder on yourself. You got to keep up with it. You have to, because this is just where we are as a society. And I know people are worried about the AI take over and it's going to take jobs and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? How I like to think of it is, maybe perhaps one day, maybe that is true. Maybe AI will take over, but here's a healthier way to think of it. Maybe perhaps it won't destroy us, but perhaps we may get to a place in time where we can just be out here enjoying life, and AI will be a thing that will allow all of us to live in a paradise of sorts. All the little jobs that no one wants to do. Maybe we can have a workless, classless society where we're all just out here thriving and eating mangonadas and sharing mangoes and laughing and dancing in the streets, and AI is, I don't know. I don't know. Because what is the alternative? Be afraid to fall into the doom and gloom mindset? No, I'm sorry. That's not my ministry, and that doesn't speak to me. I don't know. Will I be around by the time AI it puts us in a position where we can all just be out here freely dipping in and doing it? I don't know. Will it get worse before it gets better? Probably. I don't know. No, not the AI. No, don't do it. Don't do it, little girl. But anyways, yeah, so that is my story. And I'm sticking to it. And I've gone down and on. Anyways, y'all take care. Thank y'all for joining me for season 9, episode 1. And I will catch you guys in the next episode. Okay, bye.